I've shown you my task management, I've shown you my CRM, I've shown you my client portal in other videos. I'll link those below, but I haven't shown you how I actually am getting content from my clients now that I've moved out of Notion and now that I'm using Kitchen for my client portal. And that's something that I actually have a digital product for. You can actually copy my entire system and use it yourself if you'd like. I'll also put that link below, but I wanted to show you how it works today so that you can see how I'm using both a form to collect the content and AI to fill in the gaps. And if you want to recreate it yourself, that's fine, go for it. And if you don't, I'll put the link below so you can grab my copy and just start right out of the gate with whatever I'm doing. All right, so before I dive into all that and share all of my secrets, if we haven't met before, my name's Caitlin. I run Launch the Damn Thing. I've been a graphic designer since 2006. I started my business in 2015, had a lot of struggle bus in between that and when I started to feel successful. I've learned a lot along the way, and now I'm sharing all of that crap with you. All right, so let's take a look at my Kitchen account. This is what the new home base looks like inside Kitchen. This is my branded version of Kitchen, my actual portal. And these are some of my client projects, just so you can see what this looks like. Recent folders are across the top, recent items, and then you can actually create stuff from the quick create menu down here. And you also have a new browse function where you can see everything. All of your boards, all of your tasks, all of your conversations, your docs, your embedded content, your invoices, quotes, files, and even your archive. And then underneath that, and that's collapsible, you have a series of nested folders, essentially. And all of these folders have items inside. I've given them custom icons, so it might look a little cluttered to you, but at least this helps me keep in mind who is what folder, because that's their brand favicon as their folder icon. So for example, in this client project, I have customized the banner across the top for her specifically. And then we have inside her project, the task board, the messenger, the project files where she can upload, I can upload, and her actual website content guide. This is the form she fills out before the project starts. And she also has an embedded scheduler so she can book meetings with me as needed. And then I just have a secret folder that I can put archived stuff in. If I need to get it out of the way, refer back to it later, whatever. So as you can see in our client board, I've got a list for the homework, a list for the to-dos, a list for doing, done, and waiting our blog. And they're working on the table function now, so this will look different soon. And I'm really excited about the updates to this. But when they change that, I'll try to do a video about it. I'm not going to do it on this since it's going to change soon. But I also have the option to see a calendar view, all the tasks in a calendar view, and you can actually sync this to your Google Calendar so that the tasks show up in your calendar too, if that's something that you're interested in. So we have all of the tasks. We have the messenger. So I've invited her and her project files, all her documents, brand assets, photos, videos, and then I have a place to deliver deliverables when the project is done. And those are private to me as indicated by the little emoji lock icon, just so that I know right now she can't see those, but I can. And then we have the form to submit the content. And this is embedded right here in the portal. This is not a Kitchen form. This is actually a Tally form. And I created this form on the free plan of Tally, just saying. Tally is amazing. If you need highly customized forms, their free plan is awesome. And then we have an embedded scheduler. This is a really form, so she can book appointments as needed. And then the project archive, there should be nothing in there right now. All of my clients also have access to the portal tour guide video, so they can get a lay of the land and see how it works. They also have access to, when the project is over, my resource hub for my website, and the support ticket form for their support period. And they also have access to book design days from within the portal if they want additional work down the road. So that's really high level overview of Kitchen. And now let's switch over to the form where I'm actually collecting the content. So this is inside the Tally editor so that I can preview this without actually filling it in as we go. On the form, I have it set up into multiple pages. So when they're on the live site, you can see across the top these little transparent tabs. Those are representative of the pages of the form. So on the first page, we have the welcome and then which parts the form has in it. Part 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5, so they know what to expect. And then there is a little secret here. For Tally, they actually have hidden fields, which allow you to dictate a specific variable. You can use that variable as a default answer to this field. And then when you send them the link I know this is confusing. I promise I do explain this inside my Ultimate Client Portal System course because I'm delivering this as part of the course. But basically, if you can actually pre-populate those specific fields inside the link that you use to send your client the form access. What do I mean by that? Well, let's take a look inside the Client Portal course. We look at the Client Content Collection form lesson. You can see the video here. This is one of the longest videos in the whole course. Down here under the pro tip, I'm explaining. So if this is your Tally form link, when you grab that, you just append this to the end. You don't have to do anything inside the Tally form in order for this to work because I've already set it up for you. All you have to do is say that this variable equals this value. It can be Sarah, Jessica, whatever. And then this variable equals this value. And that could be hi@jessicadesignswebsites.com, whatever. That makes it pretty easy. And that way, when the client gets the form, they don't have to fill this out. They feel like it's designed specifically for them, even though it's absolutely not. This is a generic form that I send to all my clients. Anyway, if we click Get Started here, we'll go to the first page. I have customized a lot of these images and character traits or whatever to try to pull from them their brand personality, to understand what their style preferences are and the reason behind those preferences. For example, picking a car, like I'm not a car person, but knowing what kind of car they would pick tells me a lot about their preferences, their stylistic choices, what means something to them. For example, if they choose a Jeep, they're probably outdoorsy or a little adventurous. Whereas if they choose like a luxury car, something sporty, that tells me something different about the way that their personality is. Maybe higher class items or expensive luxury is more important to them. Or if they choose something like a Prius or hybrid of some sort, maybe eco-friendly is more important to them. So this tells me a lot, actually, just by picking a fake car. And then underneath that, we have various options to select words that must describe every interaction with their customers and their business. And I give them a list to choose from so they don't have to think of these things themselves. Often I find that if you provide the list for them, they'll be able to come up with things that they might not have thought of otherwise because you're giving them a well-rounded solution on a plate. Like, hey, here's the full list, pick from these things. And they're like, oh, I wouldn't have thought about that. But yeah, that's absolutely true. Giving them drop downs and multiple choice options is always good. And then these are multi-select, so they can pick more than one item. Same thing for this. Pick the 3 to 5 words that should never describe your business. And that is a list of more negative things like manipulative, gimmicky, amateur, boring, whatever. Then we go through and list what are the favorite types of ideal clients or customers. So what do they think is ideal about that type of person? And then what's the number one thing you want clients to feel when they interact with you? So words that describe your business, but how do you want them to feel about your business? Cared for, confident, empowered, whatever. And then what's the biggest misconception? So what do people think, but that's not actually true? For example, one time when I was working at my previous full-time job, I used to read the blog Clients from Hell all the time. And there was one entry in there where the client thought that freelancer meant free work. I don't think that's actually a huge misconception about the freelancer industry, but that would be one example. Just because you're a freelancer does not mean that you do free work. So anyway, a recap of your business and personality styles. So this is actually going to fill in underneath these descriptors as a recap of their whole business thing, everything they just entered above. And then underneath that, there's a link they can put into Pinterest if they want to pin sort of like an inspiration board. It's not required. They don't have to do that, but here are the instructions for that if they choose to. And then they have visual preferences. Are there any websites you want me to look at that have this style or feel? And then what do you like about those website examples? And they can pick from things that I know to ask for, but they might not know how to word. So again, I'm giving them the options. I'm giving them the words. Is there anything that you don't specifically want on your website? And again, I'm giving them the words. Then we have a really fun section for which style fits your personality best. Are you feminine leaning, masculine leaning, or neutral? And I'm giving them visual examples of what I mean by that thing. So for me, I'm more masculine leaning. Most of my design stuff is not super feminine. I'm somewhere probably in the middle between masculine and neutral, but probably leaning more towards masculine. And then for the style, which resonates with them the most. This gives me a sense of pinks and florals, or dark and moody, or high luxury with chandeliers and lots of bling, or natural and lots of textures or plants, warm and happy, bright, energetic colors, gold or silver, those kinds of things. So they can pick their options there. And then, of course, this is also a multi-select, so they can pick multiples of these. And then under the color scheme, this is where Tally gets interesting because I have conditional logic built into this form. So under the color scheme section, if they say, yes, I do have a color palette, you're suddenly going to see all the questions that ask about the color palette. What is your lightest color, your darkest color, your light, bright, dark? And I'm explaining what I mean by that and showing them an example. Or they can just upload a file if they already have it. If they say no, then there's nothing to answer. And this is the beauty of Tally. I could absolutely do a questionnaire like this in Dubsado, but I can't do conditional logic yet. They have not introduced that feature. So this is why I'm not using Dubsado for the questionnaire. I'm using Tally. And again, the free plan of Tally. I don't pay for Tally either. So yes or maybe they'll see this section to fill out. Same thing for the font options. Does your brand have preferred font styles? If yes, explain to me what that style looks like and tell me your preferences. If they say maybe, yes, they're going to see all of the stuff. If they say no, then I get to decide. So if they say yes, then I'm showing them different options. I created these graphics in Canva so I can show them the difference between light and bold and sans serif and script and whatever else. If we go to the next page, we have the essential content. So this is where they can upload their logo, their alternate logo files if they have any. They can tell me their story, what moment made them realize they needed the solution, their business basics. So how many service packages do you have? And this is another conditional logic section. So if they pick one, they're only going to see questions for one package item. But if they click 2, they're going to see 2. And if they click 3, they're going to see 3 spots to fill in. And if they say not applicable, it just won't show any at all. So again, we're trying to save them time by not making them fill out things that are not relevant to their business. In the share your process section, they'll be able to explain to me how this works, try to do so minimally so that I don't have lots of things to edit. And then in their competitive advantage, they'll be able to explain what makes them different from their competitors or what do they believe makes them different. On part 3, we talk about the technical details, the contact information. So what publicly listed email are they okay with me putting on the website? How do they want people to contact them? What are their business hours? Do they have an office location? What's their response time? And we also have a spot for them to put in their Facebook URL, their YouTube, whatever, and also the contact form. What do they want the contact form to do? What types of fields do they think that equates to? This is not a required section, so if they don't know, they can skip it. And then what the thank you message should say. Ideally, it incorporates the response time information. And then the general FAQs, they can write them in here. If they have a link to like a Google Doc or a Google Sheet, they can paste it in, or they can just upload the file if they have that somewhere else. On the competitor analysis, if that's something they're comfortable with me doing, then they can provide a list of websites here for me to check into via SEO Space or something like that. And then on part 4, we're talking about proof and trust. So this is where they can tell me 2 or 3 testimonials if they have them available. And only the first one is required, so they can just type in not A if they just don't have anything. And the credentials and experience, if they have specific certifications, experience, whatever, they can put all of that in here. How much experience do you have? This many years? What's your most important goal on the website? This is intended for them to tell me what the importance of each goal is. And then other call to action if they have any additional comments. And the last part is the legalese. So this is me basically saying, hey, this is a thing you might not know is a thing. Here are some resources for you to decide what to do about this because I can't do that part for you. So relevant info and resources about privacy policy, terms and conditions. I'm giving them the link to both Termageddon and Creative Law Shop. So they have at least 2 different alternative options to choose between depending on their budget, and legal templates, and a bit about consulting their attorney because I can't make these decisions for them. And then underneath that, I'm giving them options. Option 1, the simple solution, we're going to use Termageddon. And then if they click that box, they can also upload their other legal documents if they have disclaimers or something else that Termageddon won't include. Notice if I check this box 2, option 2 or whatever comes after option 1 disappears. So if I uncheck that, now you can see option 2. So if they don't check that box, then option 2, manually share policy documents. This is basically, here's the privacy policy link and the upload, here's the terms and conditions link or the upload, and other documents if they have disclaimers again and other things. Then under that, we have the website accessibility. This is just me basically saying, I'm going to make some decisions that are directly tied to what I think will be most accessible based on my knowledge at the time. And you have to be okay with that, because I don't want to produce a website that's not accessible as possible with the knowledge that I currently have at the time. And I ask them to understand. They have the option to sign their name and date it, and then they finish the workbook and submit. And so what happens when they're done with that is I go back into Tally and we'll do this submission. So I'll get an email from Tally when it's submitted, and I can copy and paste that from the email, or I can come in here and grab all of this and copy. And then I will open Claude in a new chat and paste. Then I can use the AI prompts that I created with Claude's help based on that form and the specific questions that I'm asking in that form to figure out what their niche is. So just like Mad Libs, it's going to see all these blanks that I've told it, these are placeholders. Now look for that information in the copied form content that I'm giving you, and let's figure out this information. So we'll copy all of that and we'll paste it into Claude, and we'll say, you may have to play around with this a little bit by asking the question in different ways, but essentially these AI prompts are designed to work with the form submission, whatever they submitted. So I just copied the whole form, copied all of the instructions, and gave it to Claude, and we'll see what they say. So it looks like, and it's doing this based on me because I did a test of the form. Primary audience, the post-career transition entrepreneur. It's probably not that far off. So after it finishes doing this, then we'll go back to the AI prompts guide and we'll move to the content tab. And what we'll do is we'll start by selecting from the home page down all the way to the bottom. And then we'll give Claude a prompt to write the content for the website based on knowing this niche, what they said in their form, and the new prompts for the website copy. Now, let's assume that you read through this and it actually makes sense. There's nothing that needs to be edited, etc. If you do need to edit anything, you need to tell it first so that it can adjust that before it writes the website copy. But we'll say great. And then I'm going to paste directly from that Google Doc and then hit send. So we'll see what happens with that. So now Claude's writing the website copy. So for the homepage, we have a hero section, we have my approach section, the services overview, and a call to action. On the about page, it looks like we have a headline, the origin story, the approach that makes a difference, credibility section, personal section. For the services, we have headline, opening, package presentations, and looks like I have 3 different packages in the form. And the process, the call to action, the contact page, the headline, intro, contact, what happens next, quick answers to common questions. I don't know what that means. Oh, bio team section, short bio for the footer or a sidebar, maybe for the blog. It's not bad. Medium bio for social media, long bio for the about page, testimonial formatting, and it's even pulled testimonials from the form that I gave it in the form. FAQ section or page, investment and logistics, design and process, working together, call to action variations, and even SEO meta descriptions for those main pages of the site. And so that's basically the gist of how this works. You're welcome to try this with ChatGPT. I actually do pay for ChatGPT and for Claude, but I have found that writing content like paragraphs of content, blog posts, website copy, Claude is better for that because it actually writes more copy than ChatGPT usually than I can ever get ChatGPT to write. For bullet pointed, fast, high-level overview type stuff, analyzing research data and stuff like that, ChatGPT is great. But for writing content, lots of content in my own personal use, I've found that Claude is a little bit better at that. So pick and choose. They're both about the same rate per month. Pay for both for a month and see which one you like better. But anyway, yeah, that's just my personal experience. So that's how it works. Now let's go back over to the course so you can see what's inside and how I'm actually incorporating all of this into the process. So inside the course, I've got a whole module on kitchen basics. I've got to update some of these lessons because Kitchen has seriously been pumping out new features lately, and you can see that because there are 52 new videos on new updated options in here. So I've actually put this in here because they've been updating them faster than I can record. And I was kind of waiting for this to level off before I updated, but after 52, I'm not sure I can wait any longer. So I'm working on updates now. I do have a whole lot of updates off also in a whole module dedicated to updates because I will be updating this course pretty frequently. Under Module 2, we have boards, milestones, and reminders. So we have lessons that just walk through those specific features of Kitchen. Same thing for Module 3, that's going through conversations or the messaging feature in Kitchen and how that works. And then we also have a whole module dedicated to how to use the various embed features that Kitchen has. Like, for example, embedding videos, embedding forms, embedding docs and page embeds, like website pages. You can embed calendars, including an actual Google Calendar, so clients can see your availability and book from here. You can also embed Playbook if you need more storage. Your clients will need a Playbook account in order to upload files to Playbook. But as I said in this video, you can get, at least as of recording, up to 4 terabytes of free space with Playbook if you apply for their artist and designer plan. You also have some options to customize. If you have a bunch of embeds in your project, this is what to do with that. And then I have a whole module on docs, which is not as exciting or interesting as it looks. In Kitchen, they have their own docs feature, which at a glance looks like Notion, doesn't work anything at all like Notion. And then invoices, you can do one-time invoices and recurring invoices through Kitchen. So if you don't have a CRM yet, Kitchen can do those basic things for you. They can't do agreements, so you'll still need something to sign the contract with the client. And then also quotes and archives, it just looped all of those features into the same module. Then we have module 6, which is the content collection and portal setup. So I have a whole guide. This is the longest video in the whole course, and all of these, by the way, are default to play at 1.2 speed. So you can speed things up if you want to. Here's the timestamps of what I talk about and when, and then you can actually open up the guide or just use it right here. But this walks you through everything and in the form of sort of a checklist, and there's everything I could possibly gift you. There's no way for me to literally give you a template and then just drop it into your Kitchen account, sadly, but I can tell you exactly what to do, when and where, and that's what this portal guide is for. So you have that to go through in this module, and the video that basically tells my client how to use the portal with me. So this is just me sharing what I share with my clients so you can see an example of what to record and provide for yours. Then I have a video on the client collection process. So this walks through the form, and then I have the AI prompts guide. So you can copy the Google Doc, or you can use something like CopySpark, which doesn't require you to have a ChatGPT or Claude subscribe. I mean, you can use either of those for free, obviously, but you will get much better results if you use a paid version of Claude or ChatGPT. So if you don't have the budget to do that, you can use CopySpark for free, and that is AI generated website copy from Rach of Square Stylist. That's her tool, and I'm not an affiliate for that. That's just an easy link to get to it because it's a good tool. And then how to use the AI and the content guide together. So this is me walking through the process in a little bit more detail. And then how to make an availability calendar like the one that I showed earlier, so you can figure out how to embed your availability and let clients pick it. So not just how to use the process, but how to implement the process, basically. And then I also give you a copy of my contact form, which is another Tally template, and the client review form, which is 2 different Tally templates. And there's also access to some new stuff in the client resource hub. So that's here. So I'm just showing you what it looks like in the starter kit, and you can go grab that if you don't have it already from that link. But that this is what the resource hub looks like, and you can make a copy of this. So this is still in Notion because that's the database that I want to host that in. It'd be a little harder to do that in Squarespace. So you can make a copy of it yourself and put it in Notion if you want, or you can see what's in there and then create it in a series of Google Docs, or I don't care, Craft, Coda, ClickUp, whatever. It doesn't really matter as long as whatever you created in can be public, so that anybody can access it without creating an account in that software. The last piece I'm building out now is the service systems and processes module. And right now, all I have in here is the website redesign Google Sheet. So this is a massive SEO tracker for big site redesigns, because I had to create this for a redesign I did earlier this year, and I needed to be able to keep track of which pages I changed the SEO metadata, like the title and the description, which ones I did alt text in, which ones I checked social sharing images, which ones I've scanned with SEO space, and which ones are improved enough or not enough. It's a big Google Sheet. So anyway, that video is walking you through the sheet, and then you can make a copy of it up here. Interestingly, you can also embed that whole sheet inside Kitchen. So all you have to do is give your client access to the sheet so they can edit it with you if that's something you want. And then you can embed it in Kitchen so everybody can see it there together, which is pretty cool. In the bonuses, we have a feedback form. So if you tell me how this course helped you, what your favorite aspects were, what you learned from it, whatever, then you also can unlock the support systems bonus, which is a separate mini course that shares the whole support process for my clients. So that includes the actual email content, the form templates, the whatever. And then you also have access to the card covers for tasks. So if you want to give a task a card cover, art, graphic, whatever, you can use that Canva template. And I also have another template for the folder banner images in Kitchen. So you can redesign, do whatever you want there. And I also have some tips on using aliases for receiving and sending email. So if you only pay for one, like I do, I only pay for hi, launch the damn thing, but I also have a bunch of others. Those are all aliases. So if you ever see an email come from me that's like delivery at or Caitlin at or whatever, that's an alias for the one I actually pay for. That works because I'm the only person in my business and I don't actually need more than one seat. So this video is an interesting video I found that shares some information about how that works. This is the old Notion project planning system. If you're a Notion user and you would like to do that in Notion, not in Google, you can do it that way with this video and that template. And this bonus module just has some extra stuff that you might be interested in, given that they're all related to various processes in working with clients. So that's the full course. Now, what I actually did was I pulled out this lesson and this lesson. I pulled it out, made an exact copy, and put it in a masterclass for you. So if you are not a Kitchen fan, if you already have a system that has a working portal that you're happy with, such as Bonsai, they actually do have a pretty good client portal, and you don't want to move the client portal over to Kitchen, totally fine. You can still get just the content guide form. That's the Tally template, the Google Doc for the AI prompts, and the guide for how to actually use the two together just by itself. So you don't have to have the whole course in order to get this piece of it. And if you're in here and you change your mind at some point, there is an exclusive discount code. So this is $67 just for the masterclass with the content guide, because that's a huge piece of it. And if you pay for this and you're like, crap, I actually do want to use Kitchen, then this coupon code, it'll take this cost off of upgrading to the full Kitchen course. The goal here is to allow you to upgrade without having to pay for this bit twice, because it's in both. So we have the Ultimate Client Portal system, which is the entire Kitchen thing, how to use the software, how to set it all up from scratch, including the email and the domain and the branding and the settings and how to invite clients and all of it, tasks, files, using the messenger, everything. Or if you're not super into the whole Kitchen bit and you just want access to the content guide, then we have just the Tally form template and the Google Sheet doc with the AI prompts and the tutorial for how to use them both. So that should cover you. Take your pick. But if you choose the AI website copy, know that you'll have a discount code that will take that cost off of this so that you're not paying for both. I hope that's been helpful for you to deep dive and see how I'm actually doing this. It will absolutely change over time. As every client does it, there are going to be things that I tweak and make better over time. So it's probably going to look a little different as things grow and evolve, but it has been working wildly so far. So that's a high level overview of how all that the new system works, the new client portal. Make sure that before you make any decisions, deep dive into some of my recent videos that talk about CRMs versus project management tools versus client portals, because these are really three separate tools. I don't want you to pick the wrong one for the wrong reason. But that in mind, all of this has been working so well. It's light years better than Notion ever was. And I loved my Notion system. So that says a lot. When I say this is a game-changing change in my service-based business, I actually mean that. Like, I don't say that word lightly. So, for example, some messages from my students. Jane says, "Can I just say that I'm loving the portal so far? Love your resources and your humor." Megan says, "I woke up to this message from my client this morning. I'm so excited. Your processes so far have been fantastic. You really nailed it with the kitchen portal, Caitlin." This person said on Facebook, "Not a question, but just here to say I'm happy that you have her today. Recently bought her client portal template, have been binging the new kitchen tutorials and loving them." Rhonda says, "It's so thorough and well thought out, yet customizable. You're holding nothing back." This person says, "Didn't love asking clients to create a Notion account just to use it. This updated version using Kitchen is honestly a game changer." Caitlin Deagle is the project management queen. So much to learn from her on that part. Let's see, how to set things up. Was beginning to think I should just do everything manually, but now I believe I can do it. What a fantastic foundation to build on. Already through module 1, everything has been so helpful so far. I love Kitchen even more. And then even from my clients saying things like, "Good morning, Caitlin. I love this new portal. Thank you for putting it all together and making it easy." And this most recent one from my client who actually said she didn't have the time. This is a repeat client. So she's been through the whole Notion portal and she did it with no complaint. She did acknowledge that it was a lot of work, but she did it just fine. And she even said, "I'm coming back to you." She said, "I'm going to need this to be as low lift for me as possible." And I hear her. And then when I showed her what the new version looks like and said, "I got you. We're not doing it that way anymore. I found a way to make it easier for everybody, myself included." And she said, "Those updates to the homework, life-changing. This I can do. This feels light, clear, and exactly what I needed. You crushed it." So even from both sides, my clients love it. My students love it. It's so much easier for everybody. It's much lower lift for everybody. And that's why I can't shut up about it. So anyway, I hope that's helpful for you. If you, again, want any parts of any of this, I'll have the links below. So go check it out. If you have any questions about all of this stuff, there's a lot I just threw at you. Leave a comment below. I'm super curious what your thoughts are about all of this and if you are as excited about it as I am.